my sewing friends. Today I am going to teach you how to make this really cute diagonal zipper bag, and it can be made with any thickness of interfacing, just depending on the purpose that you're going to use it for. So I hope that if you're liking my videos, you will like and subscribe. The subscription really helps me out and motivates me to make more videos. So the first step on making these is to make the pattern. So I'm going to go over a basic pattern with you, and then you can size the pattern to anything that you need. So I'm going to just start off with a regular sheet of paper. This is just regular printer paper. And so you start off with your rectangle, or it could be a square, and you decide how many inches up you would like to go. So, for instance, on this one, I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I made my diagonal. So, since this is a small piece of paper, I'm just going to go up 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. So if I go up 3 inches on this side, on the other opposite side, I need to come up 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. And this is where you would draw your diagonal. And you have just created your pattern. So, I'm going to grab a pair of paper scissors. So I'm just going to cut along that diagonal line. So with your paper, first you're going to want to fold it in half, or your pattern. And then this top part folds over, and that's where we're going to place our zip wrap. So for instance, you could make some really neat, cute little pouches right here. So you do need to think a little bit about how your diagonal is going. You'll notice that when I cut my sheet of paper, I drew my diagonal this direction. But if you want your zipper to go the other direction, then you would measure 4 inches and 4 inches and draw your diagonal this direction. So just depends on which way you'd like your zipper to open. So today I'm going to make another zipper bag, and this one is going to be for my Kindle Fire. And I'd like to have a cute little bag to carry this in. So I measured my Kindle Fire, and it is 7 inches by approximately 10 inches. So the recipe is, I'm going to write it out here. If my width is equal to 7 inches, I'm going to add 3 more inches on there for some room and some seam allowance. So that would be a total of 10 inches. But remember, I have the front and the back, so I would need to double that. So my width would be 20 inches. And for the height, my height was 10 inches. I'm going to add 3 more inches for some wiggle room and seam allowance. That gives me 13 inches. And then I I'm going to double that. And so this is just a regular piece of cotton fabric, quilting fabric. And then I put some Pellon really lightweight fusible fleece on the back and decided to do a little quilting. But really, because it's fusible fleece, I did not need to do this step. I just thought it would be fun to give it a try. So I have my rectangle, again, that is 20 inches wide by 23 inches tall. And I also cut my lining piece right here, the same dimensions. Let's see if I can make that. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to come up 6 inches, and I actually think I want my zipper to open the opposite direction that I had it on my first ones I did. So I'm going to just lay the two pieces of fabric together. I'm going to use my cutting mat here to help me measure, so I just give myself a nice right angle over here. Maybe move this up a little bit. All right. So I'm going to make a mark 6 inches up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And with my little pencil, I'm going to make a 6-inch mark. And then on the other side, make sure it's square. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And really, wherever you want your zipper at, I mean, there is no right or wrong way to do this. So I'm just going to take my long ruler. I'm going to put it on both of those marks that I made. And this is where I'm going to cut my fabric. So what's really neat about this is I am going to get 2 bags out of this. So I'm just going to take my ruler, my cutter, and at this time I'm cutting both the lining and the exterior fabric. And as you can see, I have 2 pieces for 2 different bags. So here is my exterior fabric. And this is the fabric that I'm going to want to put on my zipper. And I'm going to lay my zipper across here. Okay, so for this project, I'm going to use number 5 zipper tape. And I'm going to measure out, need to unwind this a little bit, the amount of zipper tape I'm going to need. Now you want your zipper tape to hang over a little bit on both sides. And that should be plenty. And then I'm going to give it a cut. And you only need half of the zipper tape. So this one piece of zipper is actually going to be enough for both of my bags. Peel it off. Okay, so here are my teeth. And your zipper needs to be installed with your teeth down. So once again, here's the teeth. And I'm installing it face down. So the face of the teeth are pointing towards the face of the fabric. Now I could just pin this, not pin this on, but use some little clips to hold it on. But I like to use some of the double-sided tape. For me, it just helps hold this down. So I'm going to measure out the amount of tape I need. Line it up. I usually give it a really good press with my fingernail here. And now I'm ready to put my zipper down. So like I said, make sure it's hanging over a little bit. And this just really secures the zipper. It should be right along that edge. All right. So then you're going to need to get your lining piece. And with the right sides together, you're going to want to make a little zipper sandwich here. So you're going to want to line everything up. I'm going to take some pins. Pin along here. Then on the sewing machine, I'm going to put on my zipper foot, and I'm going to use 2.4 stitch length, and I'm going to stitch as nice and slow all the way across right up against my number 5 zipper. So I'll see you back in a few minutes. All right, so as you can see, I have with my sewing machine, and I'm using white thread so you can see it a little bit easier. I've stitched the zipper on. You're going to want to flip it so both right sides are together. And I like to go over to the iron and give this a press. So you need to kind of fiddle with it a little bit so it is all squared back up. Give it a good press. And then you're going to go back to the sewing machine, and I'm going to do a nice top stitch, and that's going to be through both pieces, both the lining and the external piece. And I'm going to come along here and do a nice little top stitch. So I'll see you right back. All right, so I'm back from doing my top stitching of my zipper into place. So just remember, like I told you, I do give it a really good press, but this zipper is made out of nylon, so be very cautious about getting your iron too close to that zipper tape. All right, so I have everything organized. So just like I showed you on the little tiny pattern, we have our shape. Grab my pattern here. This is the pattern, remember, that I made from just a regular sheet of paper, just to model how the pattern works. But I'm going to fold over, and now I'm going to be ready to place my zipper on. All right. So I'm just going to fold it. So my two edges here meet up. Now, I can see that I'm off a little bit here. So I might just want to, you see, have this little bit of extra. And that happens. And if it does, you can just take your ruler, and I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit. Okay, so we have a nice clean edge there. So the other thing that you might want to do at this time, first I'm just going to show you this part. So I'm going to fold over. And then I'm going to fold down. And look at that. There's my bag. Is that not gorgeous? Right there. So if you want to put on a label, a sewing label on the back, or the front, or on wherever you would like to put your labels, I just flip it over. So this is, remember, when we measured over, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches was my width, and then I doubled it for my measurement. So if I measured over 5, that would be the center right here for me to put my little name tag. Now, remember, you're going to come across here with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so you're going to want to make sure that you're moving that over a 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go put on a little tag, and then I'll show you how to get the zipper going. Okay, so I'm back from putting on my name tag here, and I did want to share one other thing. When I do my name tag, I am not putting that through both pieces, where it's the external and also the lining fabric. So you want to have it just on the one piece, the external piece of fabric for that name tag. So I'm just going to resituate, kind of make sure that everything is great. So remember, you fold it all the way over. Get everything lined up. This piece is going to come down. And we're going to have our zipper right here. So usually what I kind of make sure that everything is nice and straight. And then here I've cut my zipper is not even. So I'm going to want to make sure that I have evened my zipper tape out. So I like to use a jig to put on my zipper head. So on the jig, when you look at your zipper head, the larger part is the part that goes up first. So I put it upside down on my jig. For this one, I'm going to end up turning my fabric on the outside because this is the front on the back side of my jig, the front. So this can be a little tricky to get your zipper head on. And looks good right there. All right. So I'm going to zip that up. So at this stage, before I go any further, just going to kind of reorganize this. You can see what it's going to look like, and it's not perfectly folded at the moment, but that's okay because at this stage I just test my zipper. So I put the zipper head on, I usually open. Okay, so once you've tested your zipper, that's where we left off, we are ready to do the last little bit of sewing. So you're going to want to make sure that your bag is open some. You're going to want to turn it wrong side out. So it's flip the bag, and I'm just going to rebuild the bag where I'm going to line up the corner here. Put a wonder clip there. Put a couple in between here. Look at my side here. Okay, put a few clips on it. Right, so that was my exterior. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my lining piece. I'm going to kind of organize them a little bit. Everything to match up really nice. a few clips on here. I just really do at this, at this point, quite a bit of little finger pressing. Now, I do not worry about my zipper being too much of a zipper hanging over here yet. We'll take care of that later. So, these two pieces get sewn separately. So first, you're going to sew your lining piece. And you're going to leave a space. I use, about a hand to turn your fabric project right side out again. So you're going to come along, back stitch, sew, back stitch, leave a space for your opening, back stitch, sew. When you come to the zipper, I am not going to sew over the zipper. I'm going to stop sewing right before the zipper. And then I'm going to back stitch, skip over the zipper, and then back stitch and start sewing. I am also only sewing the lining. Okay, I'm not sewing the lining piece to the exterior. So you're going to have it on your sewing machine and just come along here and sew. So the same thing is going to go when I go to sew my exterior. So I'm just going to, now nice, this one I don't have to have a place for my turning, but at 1/4 of an inch I'm just going to come along and sew, turn my corner, sew, do a back stitch because I'm not sewing over the zipper yet, and I'm going to pick it up, do a back stitch, finish sewing, and a back stitch. Then the last step when I have that all done is, remember, we skipped over the zipper. We didn't sew over the zipper tape. But now I'm going to sew all my pieces together. So that's the exterior and the lining piece and the zipper. And I'm going to go back and forth over that along the same seam line, back and forth. So the only place at that point that the two pieces, the lining and the exterior fabric, are only sewn together at the zipper here. Okay, I'll see you back in a few minutes. Okay, so I left one step out. Before you sew your bag up, you need to decide if you want to have a strap. So you can do any kind of strap that you want. On my original pieces I did, I just took a little tiny piece of rickrack and this little tiny clip for a little holder. But I thought, because this is going to be a bag for my Kindle Fire, I'm going to use a larger strap. So you can make a strap, you could make a little D-ring connector here. There are so many different possibilities. But this time, I thought I would try putting on a little wrist strap. So I think I'll show you real quick. This I cut 3 inches wide strip. Let me make sure. So 3 inches, 3.5 inches. So I cut a 3.5 inch wide strip. You fold it in half, press, open it up, fold to the center line, press, fold to the center line, press, fold together, and press. And then I just did some top stitching here. So my idea this time was, this is going to be the top of my bag, and I'm looking at that exterior piece. So I'm not going to do a D-ring. I'm just going to stick this in there. It's going to be a little bulky. I think if I push some with my fingers, I'm going to come down 1 inch. I'm going to leave this hang over a little bit. And that's where I'm going to place my little wrist strap. All right. So now I'm going to go back to sewing. I only made it a little ways in sewing around my edge here, and then I'm like, oh, I wanted to add a wrist strap. So I'm going to continue sewing, and I'll see you back. All right, so I have done my sewing. Like I said, you do not sew the exterior and the lining piece together. Those are sewn separately. And the only place that you sew over both of them is right here at that zipper tape. And I go back and forth several times. So really, we're basically almost done with our little project here. I really like to snip all my extra little threads here. All right, so at this point, you can trim up where your zipper tape is at. And I like to snip my corners, even though this isn't super thick, so it's not as big of a deal. Give them a small little snip. That helps when the turning, for it to look a little tidier. All right, and so we are ready to turn this project right side out. So remember, in the lining we left that little hole, and you were supposed to leave your zipper partially open so that you can stick your hand through the lining and grab the other end of the exterior bag, and then you just start to wiggle it out. Oh, and there's my neat little handle. And you don't have to put a little strap on it. I mean, you could just have a bag. No strap. Make a long strap, short strap. Make a strap with the D-ring. So I really stick my finger up in there. If I need to, I use my chopstick to poke that corner out. To get that nice crisp corner there. All right. And then the same thing with the lining, because the lining it's gotten a little goofed up, so you want to make sure that you come in here and really poke those corners out. All right, so the very last step would be to come in, and you need to close this up. So I usually go over to the iron, give it a nice press, and then you can close that lining up. For right now, I'm just going to push it back in so we can see how cute our bag is. All right, look at that. So I just have that lining and give the bag a really good little press. And I think my handle's a little bit long, but no, I might put a little bit of a rivet here to help hold it. But look at that. So, if my measurements were correct, my Kindle Fire, even with the case, should fit in there. So let's give it a try. Hope for the best. And look at that. A nice little quilted bag for my Kindle Fire. And actually, you know, I could put something else in here with this. So look. Wow. So I hope you enjoyed sewing with me today in my sewing style. And remember, please like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.